If you clicked on this video, you probably love DMZ. The new extraction mode introduced in MW2 in beta really added a whole new way to enjoy the Call of Duty game. And despite a faithful community, Call of Duty has stopped releasing updates and supporting the game mode, with currently no new news of it being included in the new Black Ops 6 game coming out this fall. But despite this, the DMZ community continues to flourish. Maintaining a strong, very loyal player base, streamers consistently can pull in 500 to 2K viewers daily. Even smaller creators are continuing to see success here. So why is it that DMZ just refuses to die? I think it boils down to these four things. One, it's fun, specifically around gunfight engagement choices, and I'll get to that in just a second. Second, it's unique gameplay loop. Third, a rewarding progression. And four, strong community. So to kick us off with the it's fun, obviously this is the most important thing in any game, but specifically in DMZ, it's fun around gunfights and how you choose to take each engagement. In DMZ, because there are less players in each round, there's a lot more space between where each player likely is. This, in my opinion, is the best part about DMZ. I can really choose to take much longer engagements over the course of a few minutes to the entire match in a sniper battle if I wanted to. Or you can push up quickly and go in for the kill. You also can opt out and back out of an unfavorable spot and reposition on a wide circle to have a much more favorable gunfight, depending on your weapons and armor plate vests. In Battle Royale, you really can't do that. The density of players makes it so that if you don't start and end a fight quickly, you'll very likely be jumped by another team or two, and that prevents you from being more tactical in how you choose to fight. It's a more linear experience, and you're often getting third party by other teams. And it prevents you from doing long flanks to new positions to take out a team, because you will run into another team and get caught in that. DMZ is much more tactical and makes each fight feel way more rewarding to win and outplay. You can often turn a bad fight into a good one, and you can win just as easily based on how you choose to fight versus just how your gun skills are. That strategy helps even the playing field a bit between good and bad players. Both patience as well as a blitz mentality are equally rewarded for each player type. Some days I just feel like rushing in and playing PvP and going crazy as a solo or on a kill squad, and other days I don't feel like sweating, so I take my time and am more tactical with it. Both different ways to enjoy the game and extending its life cycle and making it more fun. It keeps you coming back, and that leads to my next point. In video games, especially online multiplayers, there is a gameplay loop. Essentially what that boils down to is how you play the game each time you load up a new match. For Battle Royale, your goal is to go in, make it to the final circle, and be the last man standing. Then you rinse and repeat. In multiplayer, you load in, aim for kills, or you go for objectives, but honestly, let's be real here, we basically just go for the kills, and the objective modes like domination help keep spawns in a consistent place to further help that. What makes DMZ so special is that gameplay loop can drastically change from game to game. Player choice is so much greater in DMZ. You can go in and just focus on completing your missions. You can have a few re-gear rounds where your goal is to just get your operator fully kitted out. And then, of course, you have the option to go in and go crazy with some PvP, or heck, all of those things at the same time. Deciding how you want to play the game each round has drastically extended the life cycle of DMZ. You can opt to loot better gear or fight at a disadvantage and kill other players that are fully kitted out to jumpstart the process. Again, it's rewarding to outfight a team with 3 plates when you only have 1 and worse gear to jumpstart your gearing process again. In Battle Royale and multiplayer, your only real options are deciding which guns you want to use. It really gets very repetitive quickly. But in DMZ, there are game mechanics that help break up that gameplay loop. The third point is that it's got rewarding progression. It's what differentiates this mode from other ones in Call of Duty. In Battle Royale, there really isn't any progression in the mode. It is all external if you choose to play ranked. Same with multiplayer. The only thing you can progress on is the camos and if you play ranked mode. And that's not very fun, and that's coming from someone who's grinded out all the mastery camos to get Orion. DMZ gives you a reason to keep coming back. You have objectives in the form of mission to help you progress and unlock upgrades that will help you in future matches. It can make items in the buy stations cheaper, faster exfil choppers, guns have shorter cooldowns, and they aren't game-breaking, pay-to-win type advantages that put you at an advantage over other players when you load into the game that feel unfair. Yes, there are some things that you can buy that might give you a self-revive or a UAV, and those were hot topics at the time, but honestly, I've never gone into a fight and said, oh, I would have won that if they weren't a paying player. And I think that is super important to differentiate. Outside of the missions, there's also PvE bosses to take out. Another thing that they added was the Serpentine DMZ exclusive camo. It was super difficult to obtain and also sets you apart from other players, and you can work towards. Your progression carried over from game to game to game in hopes that you would make it to the end and trade it in to get this camo. It was super rewarding, and it's great to kind of have that thing over other players. But again, it's just a camo, and it doesn't give you an inherent advantage over other players. Each match that you complete feels like you're contributing to the next one. Lastly, the strong community is the biggest reason why DMZ refuses to die. I have made more friends that I will go back and play within this mode in the last 2 years than I have ever in the history of playing COD, and that's since really the original Modern Warfare and World at War games. Early on when this mode first launched, Discord communities thrived since you were trying to team up with other like-minded players to get your missions done. I saw so many people who had completed challenges hop into matches specifically to help strangers do theirs. There was a sense of belonging to the DMZ community that you just don't get with Warzone and multiplayer. It's a we versus them, not an I versus them, that I think is super important. Not to mention the amount of times I've met people in DMZ lobbies where we became fast friends and added one another to continue playing after. Most of the time after you kill them or get killed by them and you add them to your team, if you can be funny enough on prox chat. I can't remember the last time I've added a friend in any other mode. That bond between players is what has kept DMZ alive and thriving well past its intended life cycle. I pop into streams and people know each other in chat and can oftentimes remember playing with one another. It feels less faceless strangers and more like a small family. Streamers also contribute, of course, to this with people like Onic, Fixate, Marcus GG, to name a few, that all host community events where the goal is to stream snipe them and hunt them down. It's an entire lobby versus them, and it's a blast. It continues to strengthen a bond in the community. I would continue to go on about why I love DMZ, but really those are the main highlights for me on why DMZ refuses to die. If you enjoyed this video and made it to this point, I'd love to hear more about your thoughts in the comments and other reasons you think DMZ continues to thrive. And really, I honestly hope that they continue to take this mode out of beta or in some form or fashion create an extraction shooter moving forward with Black Ops 6. Hopefully we won't have to wait another year or never by the time it gets back around to Infinity Ward. You all have a great day or night. Peace.
We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll.